All right, welcome back. Dr. Cheryl Schaefer from Molina Healthcare is here to talk to us about a serious health threat to children this summer and any summer. Not just drowning, but dry drowning. Dr. Schaefer, thank you so much for joining us here this morning.
It's always nice to be here.
I was reading through the notes on this, and the first thing that went through my head was dry drowning. I know I've heard of it before, but I think a lot of folks may have heard of it, but have no clue what it is.
The reason we call it dry drowning, or the reason it's named that, is because no water actually goes into the lungs. And it's a rare event that's a result usually when a younger child is submerged in water or struggles in water, and it causes a spasm in the laryngeal area or the vocal cord area, and the child then is unable to breathe. So the effect is that they have decreased oxygen in the lungs and to the brain.
Yeah. So it's really a reaction to being in the water. So it's not where they're actually inhaling any water, getting water into the lungs. So it's more of a after effect, I guess.
It can be an after effect. The episode of what we call hypoxia or decreased oxygen in the lungs and the brain sets off sort of a chain reaction that builds up over the next few minutes to hours and causes the child to have respiratory distress and difficulty breathing.
And again, this is, dry drowning is one thing, but also regular drowning, also a huge issue this time of the year because, parents are at home with the kids on summer break, and a lot of them may tend to maybe not keep a close eye on the children. So obviously every age group is probably at risk. What's the most acceptable to drowning?
Yes, there's actually a bimodal differentiation for younger kids who tend to drown in backyard pools, bathtubs, places where parents are looking away for a few minutes, and then the older children, the adolescents, tend to drown in rivers because they're out doing adventurous things. So rivers and ocean, the normal safety tips always go, don't swim alone, watch your children carefully, never leave another child in charge of children who are swimming or playing in the water.
And of course, I've got a 2.5-year-old now, and we've got the little backyard blow-up pool, and it'll hold probably 6 inches of water and stuff. And the thing that always goes through my head is the fact that even though she is as independent as she is already, she seems, it takes that quick and just a couple inches of water?
Yes, and what if she falls and panics and just doesn't know what to do? So there's a panic reaction and stays submerged in the water.
And it's not pools, it's the bathtub, it's really any body of water.
Any body of water.
Yeah. So let's go back again to a little bit more about the dry drowning and even regular drowning, because what are some of those symptoms? Let's say that you get the children out of the water. What's something that parents need to be looking for?
Well, I think most people don't recognize the risk because initially if the child has been submerged in water, has been struggling in water, is removed from the water, they don't initially have the coughing up of water, or they may not be vomiting or have that instant reaction, but again, it builds up over time, and the chemical reactions set off in the lungs causes a lot of inflammation. So later in the day, if your child is very, very cranky, and I don't mean normally cranky after an exhausting day, I mean very abnormally cranky, abnormally tired, you can't wake them up, and they seem to be making strange noises when they're attempting to breathe, it's time to go be seen at the emergency room. Yeah,
exactly. So beyond drowning, obviously the typical summer threats to all of us, sunburn, you get out to the beach, and because we all know that there are the different stages of sunburn, but there's also sun poisoning.
Yes.
What's the differentiation? Where do you get when you get to sunburn and you get to sun poisoning? What are folks going to be looking for?
Sun poisoning occurs when you've been out in the sun for so long, your skin is actually damaged. You may initially see red, but you'll see blisters later. And again, it's just a serious inflammatory reaction that then causes you to feel really systemically ill. You may have a fever, you may feel like you're getting the flu, and that's what we refer to as sun poisoning. So be safe, wear sunscreen, drink a lot of water.
And again, I know that on the weather side of the world, we always look at different studies, and some things say SPF 15, some say SPF 50, some say 70. What do you all recommend?
I recommend for children 70 and higher.
And also too, and I see this a lot. Obviously, I was outside yesterday and I got a little bit of a burn. I did not think about putting on the sunscreen. I didn't have it with me, but the biggest thing too, I think a lot of folks forget about is, I know I'm guilty of it. You put the sunscreen on the kids or you put it on yourself. You're in the water, you're in the pool, you're in and out, and 2 hours later you realize, why am I getting burned?
Yes.
I didn't put more back on.
Yeah, reapply every couple of hours, and I recommend the versions with the zinc pigment rather than the chemical sunscreens, especially in children who may have sensitive skin.
Yeah, and what about, what's your thoughts on either the, I guess the lotion, the rub-on, and the spray-on? Are they both as effective, or are they all
equally
just
as effective? But again, use one with the pigment, yes.
So there's lots of things to be careful for. You know, when folks are going down to the beaches, is there any one thing that the parents should really do before they go out to make sure the kids are going to have a good day?
Put the sunscreen on before you leave the house, about 20 minutes before you go out in the sun. And again, make sure they stay hydrated. So Gatorade,
right.
water.
That's another big thing too. I think a lot of folks don't, and you know, kids and adults alike, is that you're out there all day long. You're drinking. Maybe you're not drinking the appropriate beverage throughout the day. You need to make sure that you have plenty of water, right? But again, now the other thing too is that the sports drinks maybe not always are the best thing to stay hydrated. Correct.
The sports drinks do have a lot of sugar, so most of the time the children who should be drinking those are probably those kids who are right now in sports camps.
Right.
So they're outside in the heat for a couple hours a day, really working out very hard. And they may want to use a combination of drink some water and then drink some sports drink and water and sports drink. But for most of us, water is the perfect.
It's the perfect thing to do. Keep those electrolytes up, stay hydrated. Thank you so much for being here today.
You're welcome.
Great information as you head outside in the summer heat. We've got a whole lot more right here when we come back on this Wednesday edition of Low Country Live.